The Army Air Force called it the AT-6. The Royal Air Force and the Royal Canadian Air Force called it the Harvard. It was indeed an institution of higher learning, the advanced trainer, flown by nearly 30 Allied nations in World War II since its first flight in 1938. C.T. Thomas is in the lead aircraft, and on his left wing, going up over the top in this roundhouse loop, is Mike Buick Eberhardt. There were 3 phases of training in World War II. The first was called primary training, and it was done in very simple airplanes, like the Stearman biplane or the PT-19 Cornell. Very simple airplanes, no electrical systems, no intercoms, no fancy instruments, but cadets learned over the course of 12 weeks early in the war. They learned the basics of flight, about 75 hours of flight time. Now let's watch as these 2 airplanes go into their next maneuver, with Chris in the lead in the formation barrel roll. If the cadet did not wash out during the primary training, he'd move on to basic training in a more complex airplane, something like the Vulti-Valiant is what they nicknamed it. The Vulti-Vibrators was a not so nice moniker attached to it. But it had an electrical system and a more powerful motor and some other advanced systems. That initially in the war took another 12 weeks and 75 hours of flight time, and if the student didn't wash out then, he would move on to the aircraft you're seeing here today. And this is the North American Texan. Some 15,000, some say maybe 22,000 were built. Nobody knows the right number anymore. Even the historians at North American Aviation don't know. And we saw a barrel roll one way, and now it's the other way, and that's another challenge, especially for Mike. Mike doesn't know where the ground ends and the sky begins, and that was the same for the members of the full throttle formation team. The wingmen only knew where they were with respect to the aircraft they were following. Pretty amazing stuff if you ask me. Chris Thomas is from Virginia Beach. He learned to fly when he was 17 years old with his naval aviator father as his flight instructor. He graduated from both Tidewater Community College and Norfolk State University, worked for 8 years for the Virginia Beach Fire Department. He earned his flight time doing instruction, towing banners, and flying charter and freight. And he's been flying now for over 37 years, and during the week, he's an airline pilot. The line abreast loop, one of the most challenging because Mike Eberhardt has to look 90 degrees to the lead aircraft to figure out where he's going to be. Mike Buick Eberhardt resides in Miami with his wife. He's been flying for 45 years. He started in sailplanes when he was 14 years old. He earned his ratings in powered planes when he was 17, and he graduated from Daniel Webster College. He served in the United States Navy for 20 years, flying the venerable F-14 Tomcat, the star of the original movie Top Gun. Also the A-4 Skyhawk. He flies MiG-17s, A-4s, and the L-39 Albatross Soviet jet trainer. The North American Texan taught pilots how to fly with respect to only their instruments. In other words, flying blind, enabling to keep the shiny side up, if you will, while flying in the clouds with reference only to the instruments, with no outside references at all. Now let's watch as they dedicate this maneuver to all those who serve in the military and first responders, the heart in the sky from Warbird Thunder. How about a nice round of applause for Chris Thomas and Mike Eberhardt. Just a couple of moments, they're going to rejoin and set up for a photo pass so you can get a really good look at them as they come by. That growling sound you heard from the engine is actually not just the sound of those 600 horsepower Pratt & Whitney radial engines, but the propeller tips going supersonic at about 2,250 revolutions per minute. Opposing, left and right, Buick and CT Warbird Thunder. Up over the top, pulling through with a reverse 1/2 Cuban 8 maneuver, and accelerating now, closing at over 400 miles. Show center. Nice work, guys. These aircraft weigh somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,300 pounds, and with a 600 horsepower Pratt & Whitney engine on the front, a 9-cylinder air-cooled Wasp radial engine, 1,340 cubic inches of displacement. It's still got a lot of power for an airplane that heavy. Smoke is on, and here comes Warbird Thunder. airplane that a cadet could see before earning his wings in World War II. And amazingly, they would go from this airplane that had a top speed of about 230 miles per hour and graduate to the front line fighters of the day, the P-38s, the P-40s, the P-47, and the P-51 Mustang. And it has a very narrow landing gear on the front and makes it very challenging to handle on the ground, making it, if you can handle this one, you could do much better. You could handle one of the fighters better because their landing gear were typically farther apart and easier to handle on the ground, avoiding the dreaded ground loop. The barrel roll with Mike Eberhardt tucked into what is typically called the slot position, flying a formation called in trail. You can find Warbird Thunder on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or warbirdthunder.com. Coming in for a photo pass. You might want to get your cameras on this, and I might also advise you and suggest that you hold them sideways. It'll be easier to track. Doesn't look so good on some social media, but it's going to be better for you as you want to watch it back later on. From the right, here comes Warbird Thunder. They have been cleared to land, and I do want to make mention of something that I didn't do at the end of Kyle Franklin's comedy routine as Ben Wadnowski. He wants to thank his great sponsors, Aircraft Specialty Services, CamGuard, Advanced Engine Oil Supplement, Univair Aircraft Corporation, that's aircraft engines, Apogee Investments, McFarland Aviation, CJ Aviation for their smoke fuel pumps and fuel pumps, Airflow Performance, Cuban Aviation Insurance, Champion Aerospace, Wheeling Aviation Technologies, Goodyear Aviation, Concord Batteries, Cleveland Wheels and Brakes, B&C Specialty Products, Pacific Oil Coolers, Aero Classics, Softy Emergency Parachutes, Aircraft Spruce and Specialty, David Clark headsets, and that's my favorite. That's what I fly with. The great folks at David Clark. Can't say enough about how good those electronic noise canceling headsets are. Oregon Aero, Hooker Harness, Grip Lock Ties, SAW Precision Aviation Engineering and Design, Precision Signs and Graphics, Balaka Aviation Parts and Service, Pacific Coast Avionics, Muff Dog Hearing Protection, and Sensenich Propellers. As Warbird Thunder touches down in just a moment, we'll stay in the World War II era with the radial piston engines of the Twin Beach, the C-45 Expediter, the AT-11, the Twin Beach that was really, after World War II, what many would consider the Learjet of its day, long before the Learjet ever took to the skies.